And because of the experiences of his past, you tell him that I'm stronger. You tell him I'm wiser. You tell him, oh, I'm so much better. Enough about me. Let's talk about our community. See, we don't have a problem here in Broadview. Problems and solutions are associated with inanimate objects. A chair and a weight. That's a problem. The solution, simply move. But because we are a living organism, a community of souls and individuals, we have a disease. And a disease is defined as an abnormal condition of an organism or part as a consequence of infection, inherent weakness, or environmental stress that impairs normal physiological functioning. We can't function, y'all. We're not functioning, y'all. Anytime you can ride up and down a once thriving business district and see decadence, we ain't functioning. Anytime you can have a young man or woman think that they can violate a neighbor here in Broadview, we ain't functioning. Anytime the leadership can blatantly mislead you and me, we ain't functioning. A few years ago, we recognized this and formed the Broadview Tea Party. Those founding members, the John and Hazel Eads, the Joe Jacksons, the good sister Barbara Barnett, the Naomi Garcia, myself, and a few others. And we knew, like a good physician, we couldn't stop with the identification of the disease. We had to be like good doctors and control the disease. So we slated 3 trustees. We ran and we won 3 seats. But that, my friends, was only the beginning. We knew that only with complete control would we be allowed to transition to that final stage, which is treatment, which is healing our community. So the efforts you see here today is for complete control of that abnormality, that disease that resides in our community. And as far as the healing and the treatment, we'll get to that later. But there are some who still believe that this is our best chance. This is our best chance that we've had in a long time to unseat the incumbent. And my being on this ticket is a detriment. Well, let me say this. If your conscience don't allow you to vote for me, that's fine. But I think it would be foolish, even tragic, for you to throw the baby out with the bathwater, to cut your nose off to spite your face. Because what you're looking at here are most certainly qualified candidates. And I know some of them may not present themselves in a fascinating light. I know some of them educational background ain't as impressive as somebody else. But let me tell you what I know about this sister, Maxine Johnson. While we were out campaigning early on, knocking door to door, this is before the daylight savings went by. We knocked at the door, and there was a woman that opened it up this much. And she was wrapped in a blanket. And the air that came out of her house was actually colder than the air that was outside that we were standing in. This sister was so concerned, she quit campaigning. She stopped. Her concern became what she could do for this woman to get her heat turned on. Because of her resourcefulness and her connections to the PLCCA, she put into motion that night. And praise God, the next day the woman's heat was put on. This is what I know about her. Mr. Cole Benson. She's the youngest one on this ticket. And while some people might think she's inexperienced, there's a reason she's a recipient of one of the first scholarships offered here in Broadview. Because you know, even when you're sitting in meetings with men and businessmen and advisors and coordinators and this person and that person, she ain't saying much. Her eyes are like the wonderment of a child. She's sitting back in amazement. But when it's all said and done, and she's asked her opinion about it, you see that she gets it. Kevin McGreal, he comes from a most excellent stock. His parents are Sam and Dot McGreal, longtime residents here in the village of Broadview, retired executives with the SBA and credentials that I'm not even going to try and list. But what I know about this brother is that when you put a task before him, not only does he meet it, he exceeds it on every level. On every level. This man here, I've known him most of my life. Sherman Jones, Trustee Jones. When I think about Sherman Jones, there's one word that comes to my mind. Anointed. What? When you look the word anointed up, it means to be consecrated. It means to be set aside for a special use or purpose. Y'all don't know him like I know. You don't know that when he was a child, to his doctor's amazement, he utters words that no child should utter. You didn't know that we looked up to him as athletes in the neighborhood, because not only was he a good athlete, but he was a national. And fearing my mistakes, I have walked this community to the point of leg cramps, trying to reach the intelligence of youth. I have sometimes been offended and even threatened. I've suffered personal attacks, and I've willingly put my past under public scrutiny. I've done this and more. Yeah. I know it will rest well with my soul, because I would have exhausted my consciousness. And to the residents of Broadview, I ask, can you say the same thing? Can you say the same thing for the benefit of your community? My name is Matthew Ames. I'm your son. I'm your brother. I'm your neighbor. I thank you all for your time.